Welcome to the Whole Career Podcast, where we explore the world of healthcare careers with Advent Health professionals. We're your hosts, Brandon Strong and Sky Kellogg, and we're excited to take you on a journey of career exploration, development, and success.
At Advent Health, we believe in caring for the whole person, which includes supporting our team members' professional growth and development. In this podcast, we'll be highlighting valuable career information, resources, and advice to help you succeed in both your professional and personal life.
Each episode will feature conversations with Advent Health professionals who will share their personal career journeys, insights, and perspectives on various healthcare careers. From nursing to technology to leadership, we'll cover a wide range of topics to help you stay informed and inspired.
Whether you're just starting out in your healthcare career or you're a seasoned professional looking to take the next step, this podcast is for you. We hope to empower you with the knowledge and tools you need to grow, succeed, and make a positive impact in your field.
At Advent Health, we believe that we are greater as a whole, and we invite you to join us on this journey. So sit back, relax, and let's explore the world of healthcare careers together. Welcome back to the Whole Career Podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Strong, and I'm here with my co host, Sky Kellogg. We are extremely excited today because we have an awesome guest for you. His name is Rupert Bushner. He is a manager, contract administrator. How are you doing this morning?
Doing great. I'm
Awesome.
doing great.
Awesome. So I know we were talking previously before we went live that this is your first podcast interview ever.
Yes, this is my first podcast ever, and I am extremely excited.
Okay. Okay.
Awesome.
Perfect. So I think we'll make sure this is a good experience for him.
I
And that
hope
is
so.
the yeah. So we want to make sure that when he leaves here, he will want to do it again. So Rupert, I'm going to jump right in. Can you just explain your title, your role, and a little bit of your day-to-day duties so that our audience can get a feel for that?
Okay, sure. So I'm the manager of contract administration and supply chain sourcing. Basically, we are the gatekeepers of our contract information and data. So basically, we make sure that all of our contracts are fully executed. If that contract has pricing along with it, we make sure it gets uploaded into our contract management system. And get it over to our PeopleSoft team where they actually make all the stock numbers for the products. Also, too, we we manage the signature process as far as how contracts get signed. So we submit contracts to our leaders here at Advent Health, and then also too, once they sign, we get the contracts over to our our suppliers.
Okay.
Yeah.
And just a quick follow-up, a two-part, supplies being anything used in both corporate and clinical set, like the entire company.
You name it, we have
Okay.
a contract for it.
Okay.
Honestly, you name it down to napkins, down to cups, down to baby foot warmers,
Okay.
down to you name it, Pampers,
Right.
syringes,
Okay.
beds, we have a contract.
So I wanted to know, you mentioned PeopleSoft. So I know that's a software, but just for our listeners, what does that software help you all do? Just so they have an understanding of that.
Okay, so PeopleSoft is more so for our data integrity team. But for us, we have a system called Agiloff. So Agiloff is like our storehouse for all of our contracts where we upload pricing. That's where we also can monitor the signature process. And also, too, that is where we create like our contract shells to tell us information from where who our supplier may be, whether or not we're going to get a rebate, how our product is going to be distributed, whether it's an authorized distributor or it could be another distributor, like a third party distributor. Also, too, it could tell us when the contract has went into effect, when it will end. So it's just all the different information that involves the contract is stored in Agile.
Thank you. And if you could just share with us your career journey and how you started off within campus administration to where you are today.
Do we have enough time?
Right. Right. Right.
Well, my journey honestly started before Advent Health. It started at Oakwood University. I had an internship in marketing, but that I wanted to go into marketing. That didn't really happen, so I went into hospitality where I worked for Marriott. I worked there at front desk, became a front desk manager. With that experience, but let me just rewind back a little bit. I've always wanted to work for Advent Health because I went to Forest Lake Academy,
Okay.
which is a high school here in Apopka, and they have a program where you can kind of go to school, go to college, and then you can kind of transition and work for Advent Health. But I chose to go to Oakwood, play basketball. And then again, just to fast forward back again, I started working in hospitality for Marriott. And then I found out that there was an opening working front desk corporate here at Advent Health. So I applied, got the job. Um, I had my master's too as well. Um, I was like, I knew I wanted more, but I knew also too that this was like an entry level job. So I wanted to kind of put my best foot forward. This was my first corporate job. Didn't really know how to navigate corporate, so um, it really was like a learning experience. So I had to learn on the fly. So one thing I did learn is that your network is everything. So I quickly found out that I needed to network. Even though I had a master's, I didn't really have experience. So I found out that I needed to grow my network and then also to just humble myself.
Yeah.
So I had to humble myself. I had a master's, but I looked at other people's journey and I was like, man, why is that not me?
Yeah.
But once I really started focusing on just the things that I could do to make myself more attractive candidate to get picked up, that's when things started turning around for me.
Yeah. That's I mean, self-awareness, right?
Yeah.
Especially at that age. So, just for timeline, you were at Oakwood University and you went directly into your master's program?
Yeah,
Okay.
so I graduated from Oakwood University, 2010. Went straight into my master's program, I'm sorry, at Florida Institute of Technology.
Okay.
I got a certificate in project management too as well when I attended there. And from there, that's when I kind of was able to get into Marriott and became a front desk manager. Learned the operations as far as of hospitality. Was really good at customer service. Very people oriented. Love talking to people. Love helping people. Um, and then also too is the management side. Learning how to manage the front desk, being able to manage others. That's where I was able to hone some of my leadership skills.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I think
Yeah.
it's great for our audience to hear, being that, hopefully, the high schoolers, especially the college age students are listening because they think it's so linear and that it's just going to happen immediately. And I think it's also generations, right, of understanding. Like there's a generation where it's like they understand, hey, you have to pay your dues, and then there's others that, okay, well, especially right now in this climate, you can get things and get access to things a lot easier than used to, in the past, but still understanding that sometimes you may have to take an indirect route to really reach where you're trying to go. So, in talking about leadership and growth, what were some key factors that contributed to your growth as a leader and development at Advent Health?
So, again, I always like to have the backstory. My parents were really like a big foundation and cornerstone and like who like my drive came from. It's especially instilling like those morals, as far as just wanting to always strive for greatness or just to just be a better person. But I would say the things that really helped me here at Advent Health was really getting a mentor, looking at different leaders within Advent Health, saying, "Who can I embody?" Like, I look at certain leaders and be like, "Wow, they speak very well." So I want to embody, like, learn how to speak very well, or they have a certain type of charisma with their employees. Their employees look up to them. Their employees respect them. The employees respect their leadership. So those are the type of things that I like to embody. So, for instance, my leader right now, Ruben Cologne, he's our VP. I love watching him lead meetings, his charisma, the way we respond to him. So those are the type of things that you need to really do is just have a mentor and really just try to embody the people that you see around the organization.
Yeah, that's great advice, and you touched on this about your parents being your cornerstone and how they instill those morals in you. But how has your faith and your belief that it's not over until God says it's over influenced your career path and really helped you through what sounds like some challenging times personally? Being starting kind of moving backwards in your career and then to where you are now. So what was that like?
Uh, my faith was tested. It
Yeah.
was tested, but I feel like in those moments, you just really just have to lean back on what you were really taught. So for instance, like even the way I was praying, I changed the way I prayed. So I would ask God for things like, God, can you give me this job? And instead of asking him, I changed to more of like God, I know you're going to give me this job. And so really just put my faith to work and not like some people would be like, okay, God, I'm gonna trust you, but then you don't really trust them.
Right.
But you really have to trust and say, like, and believe that God's going to give you that job or that promotion or he's going to open that door for you. So once I changed like that prayer and how I like responded to God, because you have to kind of look at it like a parent almost.
Yeah.
You'll do anything for your child. And then, like, when you tell your child, "Hey, like, I'm gonna do this for you," and your child keeps asking you, like, "Hey, are you gonna Dad, are you gonna take me to the water park? Dad, are you gonna take me to the water park?" And your dad's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna take you. I go to work, I make the money, you're gonna go. I just want you to just trust me."
Yeah.
And then, like, your father's more inclined to do stuff for you if you just trust him and you're not nagging him. So I looked at it as like, okay, I'm not gonna nag God anymore.
Right.
I put my request in, he knows it, and I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Yeah.
So
I love that. That's so inspiring.
That's
It's
awesome.
a great analogy too. Yeah.
If you thought that on the whole career podcast you weren't going to get a word,
Yeah.
I don't know which camera I'm looking at, but you will, So that was amazing, and I appreciate Scott even mentioning that it seemed as if at the beginning of career that you were taking a step back to go forward. And one of my mentors told me, "Hey, look, a slingshot is kind of what that feels like, right? You can." That rock or whatever you have in that slingshot can only go as far as you put the pressure on it and as you're, trying to release it. So as far as you pull it back, I should say. So that's kind of what I think of, when you mention that. So I appreciate you sharing that.
yeah.
So can you tell us about your promotion into supply chain sourcing and what new responsibilities this role brought?
Um, Going from front desk to supply chain, being a contract administrator was definitely night and day. Um, Definitely had to monitor like my emails a lot more, urgent responses, even being in meetings. Um, Meetings were sometimes lengthy, so I'm like, I got to stay up and focus. And even back then, it was just like, so when I joined supply chain, it was kind of like remote at the time. So you had to work from home. So learning how to work from home, learning how to like not be distracted, um, learning to at the end of the day just workflows. Um, the supply chain contract administration, our workflow is extensive. It was like going back to school again. To be honest with you, the learning curve was about a year, so even within that, even after that year, I still was still learning more. But because of just my drive, like I was just like, yo, I'm ready to be corporate. I'm ready to be professional.
Right.
I'm ready to negotiate contracts, even though I personally don't negotiate contracts, but to be in that department where they negotiate contracts. So
Awesome.
Yeah. And you talked about your extensive background in school and having your MBA and your project management certification. So, how did all of that schooling really help you and prepare you for your current role right now as a manager?
um having my master's, there was a class called negotiation and conflict. So that kind of helped me just being able to know negotiation styles, being people oriented when you go in to negotiate with the vendor, just being able to relate with them, small talk a little bit, and then be able to just know that in a negotiation, you really want both parties to win. So understanding partnership, um, those are some of like the key principles that I learned in some of my masters.
And what are understanding that supply chain works with supplies, but I'm gonna guess that heavy on finance side as well, as far as like maybe your knowledge or maybe even just collaboration with the finance department. Because as you were talking about negotiation, and then mentioning that you want to make sure that both parties are winning, I'm thinking about how we want to be a profitable company, right? But we also know that when working with vendors, we want to get the best deal, right? But at the same time, who do you all receive your guidance from to make sure, or like your metrics from to know, okay, this is a good deal, or this is the parameters that you want to stay within?
Okay.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
So I'm not a sort. So those are our sourcing managers and our contract managers.
Okay.
They negotiate the contracts. We more so execute the contracts and make sure the data is clean. But to answer your question, we do have a data analytical team.
Okay.
So they basically crunch the numbers, tell us where the pricing is in a certain percentile. So normally we want to stay probably in the 20th. 25th to 10th percentile, and that pricing range meaning and like all the vendors like average it out together. We want to be in that certain percentile to get pricing to make it competitive and not we don't really want to ball them
Right.
because we still want them to make money. So we want to be in a certain percentile.
Yeah, because if they make money, it strengthens the
Hmm.
relationship, and
Yep.
so okay, cool.
But
Yeah.
we still want to save too.
Right.
Yeah.
He's like, which camera do I need to say that to? Make sure my boss sees this. We want to save.
Hmm.
Okay.
And Rupert, you discussed several contract management systems and technologies that you had to learn. So what was that learning curve like, and what were some of the challenges you experienced moving into that area?
So going from when I went right into contract administration, we had just acquired a new application Agile. So I'm like, okay, we have to test it. So I'm doing IT work and supply chain.
Right.
So we really had to we built the system, we tested the system, we did different work cases as far as like testing the system. So I have a little bit of IT that I could put on my resume.
There
I
you
have
go.
some IT stuff that I put on my resume, but it was supply chain, but also too we worked closely with the vendor as far as building that application too as well to get it to where it was fully functional.
Okay, so I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about some strategies that you've used when training your employees. So, what strategies do you use to train and supervise your team of contract administrators to ensure that they're proficient and have an effective workflow?
Like I said, it's an extensive workflow to learn. So I use about three different meetings as far as how to train them. So we have actual live recorded like sessions where we go through executing the contract, executing pricing, going through the signature process. So we have video footage that you can refer to as far as we have a library, a training library that we compose. Also, too, we encourage them to take notes so they have their own personalized notes. Maybe the notes that I give them, maybe they can't relate to it or decipher. So we encourage them to take notes. And then also too, we have live like training sessions where they'll book time with me, schedule time with me. And not saying that they can't get time outside of scheduling time, but this is more very like intimate time where we go into a meeting room, we display uh the system, the app on the actual like big TV screen, and I'm sitting there going through it like we're actually in school. So I actually take the time and really be intimate with them and like walk them through the process. I don't leave them on an island or anything like that. Say here's a manual, go ahead, have fun or anything like that. So we really just try to make it easy for them and live by like our service standard and make it easy.
I like that. I like that. A really quick follow up question. What have you seen in your years in supply chain? What have you seen as one of the best degrees or maybe the best background that someone can have to make that learning curve shorter?
I would say definitely a degree in supply chain. Any business degree, honestly, will do. Honestly, just any business background degree will do. I would say if you're proficient in Microsoft, we're in Microsoft proficient in Excel, being able to do V lookups. I would say that that's a good thing.
Good.
But any business background will do because
Okay.
it's an entry level position. But again, like we train you up, we groom you to be able to go on to the next level because we want you to be from contract administrator. We want you to be able to go into contract manager,
Right.
and then from contract manager to sourcing manager.
Right.
So we really built out that career path, and then even within CA, we built out levels where we're wanting to build out levels where we have CA1, CA2, and then like a senior CA.
Okay. Okay, so V lookups for all those people looking to pivot, right? If you're really wanting to make a name for yourself, I don't know what V lookups are. We'll probably have to talk after this. I don't use that for my job. Sky, are you
No,
no?
definitely
Okay.
not.
Well,
Nope.
Okay.
it's not required. Again, this is just something that can make you an attractive candidate. Again, so
Perfect.
like
Yeah.
if you have a business degree coming out of college, you're already a good candidate. We just want someone that's going to be able to pay attention to detail, be people oriented, customer service, not afraid to talk, speak, lead a meeting. So just someone who's just very outgoing and just business savvy.
Yeah. No, great advice. And that's actually what I wanted to touch on next is obviously you really have to ensure precise accuracy when you're going through all this information. So, how do you do that? And what does that look like in regards to when a mistake is made? How is that corrected? Since I know obviously perfection isn't is not possible, but what does that look like for you all?
It's a number of things. So, just when you get the contract, really being able to to thoroughly just scan that contract. We're not asking you to read each word of the contract, but
Mhm.
to there's certain things that we're looking for, like an effective date. We're looking for expiration date. We're looking for certain T's and C's within the contract. We're also too looking to see if the contract has actually been fully signed by both parties. So attention to detail, and then also to mentioned price lists, making sure the unit of measure is correct. So, like if we're supposed to have a box, making sure that it's actually labeled as a box on there and not just an each. So we could be paying for just one thing, like an each of something, where we really should be getting a box of something. Making sure that manufacturer numbers aren't duplicated on price lists, because we can't pay the same thing we pay for a Q-tip, the same thing we pay for an IV bag. So just making sure that our data is accurate on those price lists.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. What's some of the best or maybe the most fun times that you've had working in supply chain? Could be with your team, could be maybe, working, in silo with yourself, but what was a time where you were like, "Man, this is really cool, how all of this comes together."
I really would say the meetings we have with suppliers when they have new technology they want to show Avid Health. So for instance, I can't remember the name of the product, but it was a tool that you kind of like stick down to someone's throat, and it's like something the surgeon would use to kind of like if they had a cut, it kind of like seals back up a cut inside of them. So
Wow.
were able to use the actual like instrument to see how it you feels like dexterity wise with
Right.
like your wrist. So just being able to say, oh, this is different than the other product, or this is lighter. So actually being able to test these products and feel them, that's actually going to be used in the market in the field. I'm like, okay, wow, I have a huge impact now.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's and so do let's say you're using or you're trying to get a contract for a supply that you've never used before, is that like a part of the process where if it's for a physician or a surgeon or maybe a nurse, do you all have people that test these products? Because I mean, I know you're not a nurse, so I don't know if I would trust you to test things out to make sure if it's gonna be properly used. So how do you do that? What's the process behind saying, hey, we want to pick a couple of these nurses from these teams or to test this stuff out?
So there's a whole clinical like committee that we have that
Awesome.
tests these products, that weigh in on these products. So it's not just the supply chain sourcing team saying, "Hey, that product is cheaper. We're going to go with that." No, we actually have our clinical team weigh in, share their opinion, and with both parties collaborating together, we're able to come to a solution that's going to ultimately be the best product that we'll use moving forward.
I love it.
Yeah. And what advice would you have for someone who's maybe listening internally right now that would like to break into the supply chain area? Maybe someone already within Advent Health. I know you've kind of given some ideas in regards to going back to school or going to school. But yeah, what about someone who's already inside who's looking and interested to be a part of your team?
I would just say network first of all. Just be vigilant. We we're always growing, so the opportunity that when we do post the job opening, I would say go ahead and apply. I would say if you don't have a business degree, I'm not going to say that we wouldn't look at your resume. There are some transferable skills that I mentioned. So, like, even if you were reviewing just documents, that would suffice because in reviewing documents, you have to take a certain type of scrutiny to the document. So there are some transferable skills if you don't have a business degree. I would say that.
Perfect. 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 And do you guys have any openings right now?
We don't
All right,
currently.
cool.
We
I had
don't
to put you on the
currently.
spot. I'm a recruiter at heart, so I'm always trying to get somebody a job. But okay, okay, got it, got it. So as far as work-life balance, in source supply sourcing, contract administration, right? What does that look like do you feel as if that's something that you've been able to take advantage of here at Advent Health?
Um, so my boss is big on work-life balance. He's big on us delivering, but he also is big on us having work-life balance. So we are hybrid. We work remote, and we are in the office 3 days a week. Um, we work from 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. and we have an hour lunch. So that's really good. I know all departments don't have an hour lunch, but we have hour lunch. Um, he doesn't really send anything to me after hours per se, but there are instances where there are emergencies that come up where I may have to send a contract after hours. But for the most part, he really protects like his employees and has a real good balance of work life. And my boss is Sean Burbank. Shout out to Sean Burbank.
Awesome, awesome. I love the shout outs. We haven't really done that, but like
Yeah.
it's cool that people are so willing to do that. That's great. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah. It's nice to be proud of your team
Yeah.
and to have that experience. So thank you. And what would you say your future goals are within Advent Health? How do you plan to continue contributing to this organization's mission and culture?
You know, my manager laughed at me when I told her, I would love to be CEO.
Okay.
I would love to be CEO of Advent Health.
Yeah.
I would love to do that, but I'm not gonna say I would be that, but I would like to aim for the stars.
Right.
Hmm.
Um, I aimed at being a leader in Advent Health, and I became one. So I just figured aim for the stars. You never know
Hmm.
where you end up. So
Right. No, that's amazing. And I think what I've found in, just some of the C-suite that I have met is that they have interesting backgrounds. They come from all different types of disciplines. And so you would think like CEO, like, okay, they definitely studied business and then they may have got their MBA. But when I look at some of the C-suite, I'm just surprised, but also thankful because that just allows and makes sure that as Advent Health, as preeminent company and trying to continue to grow our brand, that we have people that aren't all thinking the same way. So I support that. I support that,
Yeah.
and I'll be glad to have a CEO friend, that we once interviewed, right? So yeah, I'm in full support of that. So
Yeah.
that's awesome.
yeah,
So,
I definitely believe in the mission. I mean, I definitely believe in extending the healing ministry of Christ. When I found out that we have a Seventh Day Adventist company, I was like, why have I been working for other companies and not Advent Health?
Right.
So I really just believe in what we do, how we are in the community, just everything that we do. I believe in it, and I'm full fledged. I rep it.
Right. Yep. He actually does have the
I
logo
wear
on
this.
right
I
now.
wear Advent Health all the time, so I
That's
love it.
awesome. That's awesome.
I would just like to say, everybody, be comfortable with being uncomfortable, and good things will happen to you. I just wanted to leave you all with that. And a good book to read is The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. A great book. Just tells you about how everyday decisions can lead you closer to your goals. So it's called The Compound Effect.
I love
Just
it.
just wanted to say that.
Rupert, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing that final word, that final thought. And thank you all for listening to the Whole Career Podcast. We hope you listen and subscribe. Please leave us a rating as well. And we look forward to seeing you all again soon. Take care.